Hello, welcome to NGS weekly meeting. NGS stands for Next Generation Shell. Weekly meetings are about recent progress and future plans. Here we are. We have Ricardo today, contributor. I'm Ilya, the author of the project. Let's start. Ricardo, you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Go first. I know you have a lot of things.
Not a lot, but okay, some. So let's. I'll share my screen and we'll see some of the things I was working on. Share screen, Firefox. Okay, so milestones. 0 to 14.
Oh,
And
there are
just now
milestones.
can,
Okay.
sorry?
There are milestones. Yay!
There are, yeah, we have them like for at least half a year. Not the same milestones all the time. So 0 to 14, it's we can view it in two different lights. We can see it as finished because NGS can now run on Lambda. Also, somehow in this milestone, there was fix for documentation. I did that. The thing is that right now, when NGS runs as AWS Lambda, it doesn't have the AWS CLI. That means that the functionality is very limited. We'll get there at some point in time. I think we'll have some separate layer with AWS CLI tools. Ideally, we'll just find a layer that is published.
So you mean that NGS is there, you can run NGS scripts, but AWS CLI is not installed?
Yeah, so if you need to talk to AWS, you can't. So you can do like simple things like, hello world HTTP response, that works. If you do need some processing on SNS, that will work, but nothing serious. Okay, so another thing. Okay, Lambda TR documentation. Okay, let's go into recent. So another thing that I was working on, I just started, and I started because it bothers me, not because it's in the milestone. When NGS loads a file, the things defined in the file are loaded into global namespace, and that's not how you're supposed to do it. It's supposed to be the namespace of the file, like I know JS, like in Python, like I don't know, pretty much anywhere. And it was my mistake that I didn't do it earlier because I was focusing actually on standard library and on files that standard library loads, and there is no need for that there. And I was focused too much on that and not so much on the real scripts that actually do need this feature. So I started a bit reorganizing C code. It will take some time. It's not as simple as it sounds. So that, another thing, I'm just looking at my notes. So since the milestones, we have this milestone covered, that means we can release the next version sometime soon, like, I don't know, this week, next week. Back a moment. Okay, so in my spare time, which I had a bit, I watched a video about CMake, and therefore we have this issue here. So our CMake doesn't work with Ninja build system, for example. So a bit of background, CMake. CMake can generate make file, right? And then you use make to actually compile the program, to build the program. Well, CMake actually can generate not only make files, but also other files for other build systems. And one of them, which apparently is pretty popular, is Ninja. and we have something in our CMake which does not allow that. And I would like to fix that, even if we don't use Ninja. By the way, we also need to fix our documentation and all that, because after CMake generates the make files, you're not supposed to run make, you're supposed to run CMake -- build. And that's because if you swap the underlying build system, right, you want the same command to build your stuff. So that's what I learned about CMake.
And question,
Yeah.
how should we handle this? So should we actively fix everything, or should we wait for someone to complain that it doesn't work on this case and then we fix it?
Well, the CMake thing, I think we should fix it. It's not that much work, and I will feel
Okay.
much better that we can compile with whatever we want. By the way, Ninja is supposed to be much faster than Make. I'm
Okay.
not sure that we'll feel that on project of our size, but still, it's nice to know that we did this correctly.
Okay.
And since it's not that much work, then I think we should do it.
Okay.
Another thing I was thinking, of course, about UI and about how we'll start this, and for that, for NGS to be able to communicate, for example, with the browser, I guess there will be something in the middle, like I don't know, Nginx or Envoy or some script in Node.js which will handle the HTTP requests and transform them into something. Because writing HTTP server in C, that's not what I would like to do. And also writing HTTP server in Node.js, it's not what I would like to do. So I think there should be some simple protocol and then have some kind of adapter of a proxy.
Okay.
So I started thinking about this, and in general, there will be some part in NGS which will listen on socket. I don't know if it's a Unix socket, TCP socket, or something like that. And that means we already need to get into this, how we handle I/O in NGS in the general sense. And I have read again about the NETI model, and I think we should adopt that model. The name of the pattern is actually intercepting filter. That means that you have your stuff organized in layers, and each of the layer does something, and it can either forward the request to the next layer or answer by itself. So this is actually very popular layout. For example, that's how Express.js works, right? You can have your middleware, and middleware is another implementation of intercepting filter, right? Because any request that you can have, middleware can actually answer that if it decides that it's should be answered there. For example, authentication, right? You can, in your middleware to handle authentication. And that's why it's intercepting, because any layer in the middle can decide that it actually handles the request and not forwards the request to the next layer. So this is from my side. Here you go, Ricardo.
Okay, so from my side, yeah, although there were holidays, there was not a lot of time to do anything. But I'm happy. But I'm happy that I finished the build task
For Reddit?
for the. I'm trying to. I'm not sure if I'm sharing the right thing.
Warning, CMake as what?
Am I sharing the right thing? I think I am. Wait, let me just.
You were sharing the GitHub action, which was a build.
So I was sharing the right thing. I'm getting a bit messed here with the browser. Just a second. There we go. Just opening it correctly. Okay, so this one. So now you can see. right?
Okay, let's Xcode. Let's
Yeah,
see
so this is
some
the latest
Reddit.
build of this branch. Okay, so we now have like the normal Ubuntu, Debians, but now we have Fedora, you know, Fedora 34, Fedora 35, Amazon Linux 2, CentOS 8, and then CentOS 7 somewhere here,
Mhm,
and still the macOS. So now we have a bunch of them. Okay,
mhm.
so a lot of more things that built. This task was the 507 that is related to add, you know, the build for YAM, for, you know, systems based on YAM, right?
Mhm.
And that's why this was added. And currently I was also adding a new thing to the README. It's still not there. Wait, it's still not on dev. It's here on this branch. So that we can see so in the build section, okay,
Mhm.
now we have a table, okay, that explains you what is tested currently
Oh, good.
on these systems. So currently, we are. I'm still based, you know, on the old testing that we have. Maybe we want to increase to bump these versions up to the latest or not. But yeah, so this is what's currently being tested, and here we have a more sane way of seeing it. Okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we basically test 9, 10, and 11 of GCC and 9, 10 of 11 of Clang, with some exceptions. For instance, on Debian, there is no package for GCC 11 on the default APT, and not for Clang 10. So we don't test these ones for Debian in particular, but since, you know, we test
They
them for
skipped
Ubuntu.
10. They have
Yeah, I don't
9
know
and
why
11
the
and not 10.
Clang doesn't exist. You know, if you do apt install on Debian 11, right? If you do apt install Clang 10, it doesn't exist. You do apt, you do 9 and
Sounds
11, it
fun.
exists, you know, but 10 no.
And
So
CentOS also don't have like ceiling at all.
no, I didn't implement that part yet on
Okay.
CentOS
Okay.
with CLang.
Okay.
Actually, here, yes, on this level, yes, but I implemented with the default one. So these initial ones are with specific versions. So the build action is actually doing, you know, build with this specific version. Okay.
Mhm.
On these ones, I just used the default version, comes with the system.
Mhm.
So I didn't, you know, say, you know, yum install this particular version, right? I just said yum install GCC and yum install Clang. That's it. And, you know, I think for most of the systems, that's what we want to go to, because it's a lot of work, you know, having to build on all the possible versions. And I guess for most systems, what we need to just you know, be sure is that it works with the default one that comes with the system.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I started doing here for the YAM part. On the CentOS, I actually went to the trouble of doing it, you know, for all of them. But yeah, CentOS 8, there is also one that does with default. So if we go back there, CentOS 8, I could do it with default. CentOS 7, I couldn't. Why? Because GCC is very old on CentOS 7.
Yeah,
So
it's
the
like
default
4
one.
something, 4.9 or something.
4.8. Yeah, 4.8. I think we need the minimum. I think it's 7 or 6 that we need, right?
I don't know.
But it's about that. So I know that with 4.8 it doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. So, and here, for instance, on Amazon Linux, you see we use 7.3 as the default and works fine.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, we can improve now on this. But also, you know, we need to decide on when do we stop, right? Or which
It looks
versions
fine.
do we test? Yeah. So for instance, here, you know, we are also testing Clang 12 and Clang 13 because it comes with the system. And to be fair, you know, Fedora at least has everything, you know, by default nice. Not like CentOS that you have to go around things and do some more.
Yeah, by the way, CentOS 7, the end of life is in 24.
Yeah.
Right,
We
so
will
we will
keep it
have to
until there.
suffer this for a
Yeah,
bit.
for a little bit. So yeah, so that's how it is, and that's why it looks like this. Okay. So for instance, you see that CentOS 8 here is testing the default one. I still need to add this one to the list, the default Clang and the default GCC. But these ones are build jobs that are special just for CentOS 8 and CentOS 7 that test more versions. I'm not sure if it's worth for CentOS 8. I actually probably we should remove these CentOS 8 tests on particular versions because the default compiler works fine, you know. So You know, if the default compiler works fine, we should go to the trouble of installing a different compiler version.
I
That's
don't
my
know.
opinion.
We need to think about this, but it does sound reasonable.
Yeah, it's like, you know, we should make like a rule, right? If the system, the default compilers of the system compile well NGS, then we just use the default ones because that's what most of the people will use. And if someone installs a specific particular version, it's because it's a higher version and they do it on purpose, right? Or if they use a lower version, then, you know, we cannot run on that. Yeah. Unfortunately. But yeah, we
Yeah.
should try to diminish because, you know, it starts to get big very fast. This kind of thing. Look at this. It's a lot of jobs already.
So
then the
I guess
question is the
you solved the issue that we had this map something.
Yes, that's I following your guidelines there on the
It worked?
CentOS 7. Yeah, it worked fine. You see, it worked for all the 3 compilers. So on CentOS 7, because the default compilers don't work, then we should keep, you know, more testing on that, right? So by default, let's try to do it like this. If the default compilers work fine, we just test with the default ones. If not, then we go to the trouble of making, you know, extra installations and extra tests with the newer compilers there, just to make sure. And like this, you know, we should cover.
It sounds reasonable. I need to think about this.
Yeah. So think about this and let me know. But you know,
can you please open an issue about this so we will not forget?
I can talk in the same issue because it's still not closed.
No, but it's more general than YAM based.
Yeah, but so you want to have a more general one? Yes, then fine. So I will open then a pull request about that into the dev branch.
Yep.
And then we can
make sure you merge the dev branch before you do the pull request.
Yes,
yeah?
And then we can at least close that one. And then I open a more general issue about how we should handle, you know, this testing, or when is it enough, you know,
policy.
The policy, yeah, the test policy there. So that's, you know, because it gets to a point, you know, it's like, what's the point of testing ECC9 on all the systems that exist in the world, you know?
Yeah, it probably should be like every system will have their own default one, but then we have one, I don't know, Ubuntu, for example, and we'll test different GCCs just to make sure that we are like, okay, forward.
Yeah, and on CentOS 7 that, you know, the default compiler sucks, then, you know, we can also do extra tests there, you know, with more compilers, let's say.
Yeah.
So in the cases where we need to do something, you know, then we care about doing it more, I guess.
Okay.
What else? Yeah, but the good news is that it works everywhere. Yeah, now.
Good.
And by the way, it was just not, you know, GitHub Actions. I also had to change a bit the install scripts, but you will see on the pull request.
I'll see it in the pull request. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I guess about the pull requests that are opened.
Well, yeah, need to get there.
Yeah, so I'm still waiting for your feedback, I guess. On here your feedback. It's appreciated. Yeah, and outside from that, I guess that's it from my side. By the way, I saw also that you opened some tasks on the AWS how do you call it, layer?
Yeah, Lambda. Yeah,
Lambda layer. Yeah, and I need to still look into that. There was something about the build there. I think I didn't really understood, but I will take that offline with you.
Why offline? You have issues. We should communicate there in the issues.
Yeah. Okay. In the issues. Well, when I mean offline is not in the meeting, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it from my side.
Okay. Cool. Then we are done for today. Also, my cat wants in, and it would be nice to finish
with the cat.
Okay. Like and subscribe, as they say. Okay. See you.
See you. Bye.